Hey guys, just wanted to update y'all on something. Well, I guess not so much an update as a new development. I'm gonna show you guys real quick. What we see out there is some construction work being done in relation to that substation right there. Just spoke with one of my neighbors, and I've spoken with these guys that are working on this. They're expanding that substation currently to help facilitate plans to put in a solar panel farm that's going to cover probably anywhere between 150, 200 plus acres of this land surrounding us. I've got one neighbor and myself who are pretty concerned about this, because as we all know, there's a handful of different serious problems with these solar panels. First of all, they're going to be covering up every square foot of those properties. What we're talking about there is those black solar panels that have the potential to cause actual burns if you get too close to them, covering up, 150, 200 acres worth of land out here. You're talking about those of us that aren't on board with it aren't really going to have an option or a choice or a say in it. It's just going to be kind of a situation where right up to that fence line right there where my kids play, I could have solar panels sitting right up against it, and my kids have to worry about, getting too close to them and getting burns. There's leakage concerns and issues with those as far as the stuff that's inside of them. And I'm sitting at the lowest point of anybody adjacent to me, other than one guy to my east, who also has cattle on his property, a lot more than I do, as does the gentleman across the street there, who has probably a couple hundred head. And that water that runs off of all that property runs into my pond, runs subsequently into the neighboring pond, and subsequently across to the pond across the street. So we're talking about the possibility if those are leaking and leaking toxic chemicals into the ground, that's going into a lot of people's meat supply. So as you can tell, I'm kind of concerned about it. I don't like the idea of this happening, and I definitely don't like the idea of being hemmed in on 3 out of my 4 sides by solar panels covering every square foot of ground. They scrapped a solar panel project, or I say scrapped, they haven't scrapped it officially, they just never really went forward with it. They were at one point in time talking about putting solar panels out in Africa in the Sahara Desert, and as hot and miserable as that desert is, and as uninhabitable as large stretches of it are, they found out that if they put solar panels on that same hot desert, that the impact of those panels and the heat that they generate would raise the entire planet's temperature just off of that regional temperature escalation. So if we're talking about the possibility of raising the entire globe's temperature based off of solar panels in large concentrations, we're obviously talking about regional escalation of temperatures based off of large solar panel projects. So even if we're just talking about the ambient air temperature going up a couple of degrees around here, I've got plants that are just barely zone 7 and require a certain amount of chill hours, especially, blueberries, for example, cherries, for example. And now we're talking about impacting the productivity of those types of plants in our region. So there, as well as the overall negative impact on the ecosystem, you're talking about removing all sorts of ground space where birds are eating off of bugs, and where possums are crawling around, and other different creatures are supposed to have access to the nutrients that the natural habitat and ecosystem provides, but you're cooking those out of the environment. You're denying their access to the ground. You're removing their feed sources. This place was really rich with birds for a long, long time, and now what we're looking at is, if these solar panels go into place, you're talking about driving out a significant part of the bird population. I've reached out to my district representative. I'm hopeful that he will return my call and speak with me, because look, I don't want to have to move away from here, but that's essentially where this is going to push me. It's going to literally have to drive me out of town for the sake of enough power to power, you know, a few square miles around here. That's not acceptable in my opinion. I mean, look at this. This is beautiful land. This is cow country. This is what so many of us pay good money to come out and live in. And we don't want to see this covered in solar panels. We don't want this covered up. So share this if you're one of my 10 followers on YouTube. Man, let's get the word out there. Let's see if we can do some things, you know. Shoot, maybe some lawyer will contact me and we'll put in some injunction and block this until we can maybe put something in place to protect those of us that don't want this in from the encroachment of those technologies onto the very borders of our property. Anyways, I'll have more exciting updates hopefully in the near future on some other things, and you guys have a great day.